Hello, I'm Larry Johnson, and welcome to this latest episode of the International Unity Club and the dialogue that we're promoting with some luminaries from across Russia. Now, I'm fortunate today. We've got my new friend Alexander Babakov with us. This will be our third conversation, I believe, third or fourth. So it's always a pleasure to meet with Mr. Babakov. He's the vice speaker of the State Duma of Russia. Well, one of the things that's going on right now economically is have you been following what's happening in the silver and gold market, the commodities markets for silver and gold over the last 2 weeks? So we're
Конечно,
witnessing
конечно.
we're witnessing an almost unprecedented rise in the price of those assets and the weakening of the U.S. dollar. Um, as an outside observer, it appears to me that BRICS is playing a role in this. And what I mean by that is that a number of the BRICS countries, particularly China and India, are selling off their U.S. Treasury bills. They're no longer buying those. And a number of the BRICS nations and nations in the global South are buying hard assets, gold and silver. So they're taking that supply off the market, and the primary motivation for this is a growing number of countries are just they're fed up. They are they are angry at the United States attempt to use the dollar as a reserve currency to bully, threaten, and punish countries. And they finally said, we're going to separate ourselves from that. Do you think that BRICS is starting to move in that direction to create what I call an alternative financial infrastructure?
Ну, в вашем
You
вопросе
have two
два аспекта.
aspects
Я
in your question.
хотел
The first
первый.
one,
The доллар
the
сам себя
dollar
нарушает,
is
нарушает свое господство
destroying
через то,
itself.
что мы с вами же
We are
реалисты и
both
понимаем,
realists.
что
We understand
денежная
that the
масса
mighty
доллара
mass of the
никогда
dollar
ничем не
was not
обеспечена была,
supported by
кроме
anything except for
политического,
one
я бы сказал, больше
military
военного
or
влияния Америки
military influence of
и
America.
выстроенного
And
выстроенных
the
отношений, которые предполагали,
relationships
скажем
that
так,
were
доверие
like producing
американской
the
силы, к
trust for
американскому
American
господству, против американской
leadership and
силы.
etc. But
Но
what
суть той риторики,
America
превратившей
did to
нормальные
economy
экономические процессы
in
в
policy,
политические, то есть
political
политизировав
world, they
финансовую сферу,
brought
а теперь уже и
politics
экономическую
into the
сферу, как вы
financial,
знаете, они
economical
пошли очень
world.
устойчиво.
America
Америка
has
разрушает
destroyed
доверие,
the
которое
trust
и так было
that was
достаточно хрупким,
fragile in the
потому что
beginning
за этим доверием
because there
правда
was
не стояла
no
никакая
guarantee
специфичность. Это было
behind the
известно
dollar.
всем тем, о чем писали
Everybody wrote about it.
разные экономисты.
Even if you
Даже
talk
если
about
вспомнить Маркса,
Marx, he
то
had
была
this
такая
right,
очень
correct
правильная
phrase
фраза,
that
объясняющая, что
explained
такое
what is
деньги.
money.
Даже не совсем
He
деньги.
said
Он
that
говорил, что деньги,
money that were
выведенные, которые
taken
вышли
out
из
from the
обращения,
um,
превращаются в сокровища. Но
turnover
реальным
could be
сокровищем
a
может только
treasure. The
золото.
real treasure could
Тем
be
самым
only gold.
подчеркивая, что
And
все
he
эти
said,
отражения
all this
бумаг, деньги,
metal money,
металлические деньги, это
paper
всего лишь
money, this is some kind of
некая
form
форма
of existing
существования того,
that
что
gold
золото
cannot
не
turn
может
on its own.
самообращаться. Ну,
It's
это
a
нормальный
normal,
экономический процесс, его экономисты
economists will
понимают.
understand
Так
me.
вот,
So,
отсутствие обеспеченности
no
золотом, ну, если
gold or
золото
silver behind the currency,
общепринятая гарантия,
the dollar
доллар на
is
самом
not
деле
covered by
ничем не
anything.
обеспеченный, это
It's an
пустышка.
empty,
Но он
empty
был закреплен
space.
в силу
But it was
институтов,
strong due to the
которые
institutes that were
способствовали
moving
продвижению доллара как
dollar
господства,
forward,
финансовых
financial
инструментов,
instruments that used
использующих
only
только
dollars,
доллар.
all
У нас все цены
pricing,
доллара,
all
все долги
all
доллара,
debts were in
экстракции
dollar,
доллара.
and that's what we
Это
had.
было. Но
But when
когда это стало
they brought
политизироваться,
this
то
into
страны
politics,
не просто, они стали
major
возражать.
countries
И
started
возражать
to
правы.
murmur, and we
Американские
do
исследования,
have
я считаю, я
such an
считаю,
opinion
сторонник,
that
что американцы и
Americans
европейцы
and
проспали Китай и
Europeans
Россию.
slept
И оказалось,
too
что
hard. They have
BRICS
not
состоят
noticed
предложить
China and
собственные
Russia,
финансовые
the countries that are
инструменты
able
для
to offer
развития.
their own
И Россия
instruments
в
for the
первую очередь.
development.
И возникновение
Creating
БРИКСа, его
BRICS and its
развитие идет по
and
пути
of
того,
its
что мы
development, that
создаем
we are
не
creating not
столько
something
против доллара,
against the dollar,
а просто в
but the
ситуации,
situation
когда
where the
политизация
We don't like the politics of dollar. We create our own. And our own narrows down dollar's geography. And this process, we cannot reverse it back because we have started paying money in the national currencies. And we're moving forward to find the instrument for everybody to deal with the financial world. So the fruits of that belong to Americans. What they did is that they are the masters of their own results.
Yeah, it is. I can tell you that a lot of the financial professionals here in the United States, they're still not grasping what's taking place. I think this rise that we've seen in the price of silver and gold, and to put it in perspective, in 1st of October, it was about $48, $50 an ounce for silver. And now silver was up to $115 an ounce, so it's more than doubled. And um, the, the financial institutions or establishment here is just thinking, oh yeah, they act like this is normal, and it's absolutely not normal. And on top of it, the Trump's foreign policy, where he wants to bring industry back to the United States. That needs to happen. But his approach seems to be that he's antagonizing and angering as many different countries as possible. We saw Canada the other day just go cut a trade deal with China, snubbing, basically, as they say, thumbing their nose at Trump. So, I think we're in this very unsettled time, and it looks like Russia and China are uniquely positioned to help create a new kind of financial order. Do you agree with that?
More than agreed, more than that. What I want to say is that if you take a look at the situation with what you spoke about, that I have to confirm the fact that world economy is there's no subjectivity. It's a set of economies from different countries, and other countries that come close. It's like the centers of influence. That speaks about what takes place. The world order gets into the segments. What does it mean for both of us? The absence of strict rules where all countries would act just like we have seen economical sphere. They're all destroyed. And there are rules formed in every center. So sooner or later it will bring to more competition. In today's situation, you can get upset, you can do what you want to do. But today we have on the first level is economical potential on the raw material base, but also in those economical structures that are in every economy. Look at what we have today in China, what Russia goes to, self-sufficiency. So what we speak about, that the countries take a look at not the outside operations, but at the creating the conditions where the internal market hits the first place, the internal production. And Trump understood that very clear. The structure of the economy that was given to him, it doesn't feed him, neither does it feed Americans, where you have most of the GDP coming from the service part. Either these terms are not needed or only for the narrow circle of people, and only the real sectors can give economic development. So they put their money onto the real solution. So we see that this process are alike. but the essence of it, the potential are the same. Right now, we have no trust for dollar, no trust for investments, for American investments that were done through USD. Look at the foreign investments or buying the US debt, so which means that we finance American economy. And we'll cut down those investments and people walk away, and clearly it becomes obvious for all economic powers. Some people, one thing when you get being fed by the promises by being the center of the world, or you see the real money. So look at China. They produce more cars than everybody in the world. Look at this country as a potential that is clear sectors of economy. That is not something that you put on paper and sell the paper. It attracts real investors, and we're not speaking about, we're speaking about serious investors, direct investors. That's what they look at.
Right. Now, we're coming to, I think, the end of our hour together. I want to talk about what's getting ready to happen in Iran. Trump seems intent on attacking Iran. And since the last bombing of Iran by the United States on June 24th, June 25th, there has been what I see as a significant increase in cooperation, where Iran has finally accepted Russia's offers to help, both bolster its defense, bolster its intelligence. And Trump reportedly made a request to Iran, basically, let us bomb a port, let us bomb you a little bit, and then we'll walk away. And Iran said no. We'll view this as all-out war. One of the consequences of that is that they threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz accounts for about 45% of the world's daily oil production that comes out of the Persian Gulf. Now, what I want to ask you is basically two questions. What do you think? Is Russia in a position willing to provide further assistance to Iran if it is attacked like this by the United States? And if the oil is cut off, that seems to me that's going to provide a big economic boom to Russia, because you're one of the few countries that's not having to export and take your oil out of the Persian Gulf.
Well, I would offer maybe look at it differently. But first of all, let's consider that such statements coming from Trump, they demonstrate the ignorance of whatever left over international institutes, right? So you can't build a relationship because it's destructive for America itself. It's a healthy mind. That's what we say that even at today's minute of understanding that your strength is stronger than anybody else, that's totally foolish. And a second aspect is that we have to recognize that, in fact, Americans, they're practically, I can't say long time, but we should say probably yes, long time. They really didn't know what is physical loss, right? And to fight for or hurt another state, another country, but trying to avoid their own losses, it creates a feeling of I can do it all, no control. But today's Iran, it's beautifully, perfectly oriented in international affairs right now. They're not by themselves. And I think that Iranian people, the Iranian nation, they do support the people in power. And don't try to test them, how strong they are, and see their possible reaction, the reaction coming from the leadership. If there will be a direct aggression against Iran. It'll bring for circumstances we won't be able to fix in the total region, our region itself, but also it'll be like a boomerang coming back to Americans, especially for their allies. And here, I think we need to remember that any politicians, first of all, it's a very responsible individual with understanding not only that his actions, activities, but even his words. A lot of people are watching after them, and it's a lot of people, and this responsibility have to follow politicians in all that they do. And a first goal should be a building a relationship for a long term, with realizing that he's not alone in this world. He has to count in the point of view of other people, whether he wants it or not. If he's going to ignore it, there will be circumstances for him, especially very complicated.
Do you anticipate, if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, that's going to greatly disrupt the oil market and will ultimately benefit Russia?
Well, definitely. Surely, it won't just influence the market. You need to have a clear picture that not only it will be industrial connections, financial connections, the countries that are consumers of these products, but it's not just that. It'll all bring to, as what we say, it's all I can do it all attitude, like a virus that will go to other regions. If this example becomes like a virus, we're gonna fight these decisions in other locations in the world. It won't be just oil and gas. Is America ready for that? For such circumstances? I don't think so. Believe me, it will not be successful for any state, those that are trying to get the world influence, to avoid the circumstances if they're trying to bring defeat to any other state, not depending where they're situated, right? It's a very dangerous and foolish policy.
Yeah. Speaking of politics, isn't and I don't have the details straight up. I understand that there was either a delegation, 4 members from the Duma, that came to Washington to meet with members of Congress. Was that so? They came here instead of, or was there 4 members of Congress?
It is discussed right now in Russia, and I think there'll be a decision made to form this group organizing the contest. It's a healthy step for a relationship to build the dialogue between people who are entrusted by the nations of both states, or how to represent their interests. It's very important.
Yeah, in fact, I spoke Saturday night, and I live in Bradenton, Florida, and just north of me is St. Petersburg. Not St. Petersburg, Russia, but St. Petersburg, Florida. But there's a Russian community there. And so they had the winter ball, and I attended, and I met Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, and she is very, very much on board with having a dialogue and discussion with Russia. Have you asked Foreign Minister Lavrov or President Putin to put as one of the demands, one of, if you will, a gesture of goodwill by the United States, that they lift the sanctions on you? I mean, I think it is outrageous that you've been sanctioned, and that the United States should commence, if they really genuinely have goodwill with these negotiations, one of the things that they should do immediately is lift sanctions on people like you.
Well, sanctions is against the law, right? And we have over 30,000 sanctions against Russia. You got to take a look at the root cause. The root cause is to stop Russia's development. Number two is Russia is not in that status that gonna ask anybody to do something, especially concerning sanctions. It's a secondary deal. We respect ourselves, and we have shown that these sanctions that we think that are illegal, they have pushed majority of Russians to understand that sovereignty is not a declaration. It's a real deal, real results, real activities. So today's economy in Russia and financial resources are quite sovereign. That's why our international politics is sovereign, and it's an quality we all have to go towards. So I think this would be the last that we're gonna discuss. The sanctions should die on its own because it's not the method of communications between any states. And if we speak about America and Russia, it's just, it's not worthy for both countries, for the political leadership to use sanctions against each other between our countries.
Yeah, well, communication's the key. I've been asking you questions for almost an hour. Do you have any questions for me?
Not really. I just wanted to say thank you because you're quite a bright figure, right? And one of those people that understand that through communication, through negotiations, through conversation, might not be all the time pleasant, right? The topics that we need to discuss, but they are a must to discuss. We have to find a compromise with one condition, that both you and I, we respect each other. You have a right for your own point of view. We have a right for our own point of view. And don't try to make somebody a friend or a body due to the loss of your own resources or spheres. I do believe in a result after the dialogue.
Yeah, I call that the mother-in-law problem. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you've ever known somebody that's had a mother-in-law where she's always interfering, trying to tell the son-in-law what to do and how to live. Like she'll say, she's fat and she says, you need to lose weight. Or, she's smoking and drinking and she says, you need to stop smoking and drinking. She's doing everything that she's telling the other person not to do. That's the United States.
Well, I wouldn't say it's so rough, so negative, but everybody has a right to do so. But I think that people like you, there's a lot in America, in Russia, and those that would really truly want to communicate with arguments, with something that carries the point of view, possibility to prove the position, but not lowering somebody down, putting something down, right, bullying somebody down, but due to finding maybe the topics that would we need to develop. And I'm very appreciative about what you do. At maximum, I will support and the work that you have, which is not really easy.
Well, listen, I thank you so much for taking your time, your valuable time to talk to me today. I'm sure the people that will tune in and listen to this, they will take something away that is important. And particularly, I thank you for your role with the International Unity Club, because it is, as I've tried to explain to my friends here in the United States, it's nonpartisan. It doesn't take one political party. I mean, when you take people who included from President Putin's party to people like Gennady Zhuganov, I mean, that's quite a spread across the spectrum. So, Alexander, thank you for your time, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yes, thank you. I would like to add that if we go back to political parties concerning the support of our president in the international arena, and internal politics, I think that we support our leader.
Great. Thank you so much.
Спасибо.